All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. I'm going to be talking about how, in this lesson, how a lot of Israelites, man, they don't want to accept the fact that they are cursed, but then they always prove that they're cursed every time they open up their mouth, man, and complain about things in general in this world. And I was just watching a video of Sarnetta, and I was just skipping through certain points of the video, right? Because the video was long, and I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but I wanted to just see what they was talking about. And one of the parts that I jumped to, they started asking questions about who we are, right? And then they started answering questions, and Sarnetta started talking about how we don't have no community really, man, and how we have to go to our enemy for everything that we want. But the thing is, at the same time, they were saying we need to stop waiting for a God in the heavens to come and save us. But what they don't understand is all the things they was complaining about, the God that's in the heavens told them that he was going to do that to them, right? What Sarnetta has said, and I've actually snipped that part and posted on the channel, man, on this channel. What he actually said, you can explain what he said with the Bible. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy power, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which commanded this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And one of the curses that are on the Israelites is one of the things that Sarnetta was complaining about, man. Verse 48, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in the want of all things. And that's what Sarnetta said. He said, we have to go to who we would say are our enemies for everything that we need. But why is it that we have to do that? It's because we're cursed. But if you ask Sarnetta, are we cursed? Right? He ain't going to want to accept that. And he's already seen what happened to a person that was close to him, that at one time he called his friend. Right? He's already seen what happened. And that guy, I want to say this, that guy's crimes, that was his friend, they're his own crimes, man. That ain't got nothing to do with necessarily with this other guy, with Sarnetta. Yeah, but he's already saw what happened to that guy that ended up scoffing against the Israelites and didn't want to accept the Bible. He's seen what his end was now. So that should have, if anything, made fear go in his heart, especially considering that his own woman, right, or one of the women that he has, believes or says that they believe in the scriptures, man. So he should already have fear of that man. I remember when he was saying that stuff against some Israelites, and then he's actually turned around and did the same thing that he accused them of. That he was trying to make out like they are. And he was actually way worse and way more grimy of a demon than he tried to make out like they were, man. Because you can't find nobody saying that he did anything, and he pled guilty to what he did. Because he did it. Right? He did that. That guy did that, man. But Sarnetta is on a path where he's like rejecting the Bible at every turn. But every time he opened his mouth, the Bible can be used to explain what he's talking about and what his complaints are, man. Verse 48 again, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in the want of all things. For he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And we are destroyed, right? We are destroyed, man. And that's why you have to go to your enemy for the want of all things. Here it is. If you don't like a group of people, yet when you need food, you have to go to them. When you need water, you have to go to them. When you need a house, you have to go to them. When you need clothes, you have to go to them. You're destroyed. And that's the state of what we are right now. But why are we destroyed though? Because we didn't want to listen to what our God told us. And all these African Americans and all that, as they want to call themselves, right? All these Black British, all these Jamaicans, Caribbeans, all these so-called Mexican Americans, right? All these Native Americans, right? All these foundation of Black American, all these little terms that you want to call yourselves, Puerto Rican, right? Latina, Latino, right? All the Chicano, all these terms you want to call yourselves, right? They're not who you really are. And until all of these terms, you get rid of them and come back to your true nationality, you're just going to keep getting judged, man. And you're going to end up losing out. And the repentance date is going to escape you, man, because there's going to come a time where Yahweh's going to stop even making it be a thing where the message of repenting goes out. It's going to be just the time of you're going to get judged now, and you're going to end up being in the kingdom with shame and everlasting contempt, because there's going to come a time where they don't get a chance to be told, now fix up now, no more, man. Now I want to say this, because one of the things that all men desire, right, is to have money, to be able to take care of the people around them and to not have a care in the world. There's no man out there in this world that wouldn't want to take care of every single woman that is around him, if it didn't even affect it didn't even affect his pockets at all, to the point where the money that he's using to care for the women that are around him in his life, he doesn't even notice it's missing. There's not any man in this world that I would say wouldn't want to do that if they had the ability to where they've got so much money that all the women around them, all their family, right, are taken care of, and they don't even notice that the money's gone. There's not nobody that would be that evil in this world, I don't believe, man, that they wouldn't want to take care of the women that they care about in this world. Man, in fact, you know what? There is people that are evil. Let me take that back, man. Most men, right, would want to take care of people to that extent, man, that they care about. They'd want to, man. All men would want the ability to be able to do that. Whether they do it or not would be another thing, but they'd want the ability to have so much money to where they don't have to care about any of it. To where they could spend £1,000,000 a day for the rest of their life and it doesn't even make a difference to their account. They don't even notice it. But the reason why we can't do that is because we are destroyed, man. Because Israelites wanted to try and think they can do their own thing. And even though they've heard that they're cursed, they're trying to say, nah, I ain't cursed. What are you talking about? Hosea chapter 4 and verse 6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because that was rejected knowledge. What's the knowledge they rejected? That they're the Israelites. And in the times past, the knowledge that they was rejecting is that they need to follow what God told them to do. Because the thing is, the Israelites are not wicked nowadays, right now, because they don't know they're Israelites. Because even when they did know they were Israelites, they were still wicked. That's the thing. Even when the Israelites knew 100% without a doubt that their Israelites, could trace their lineage back 10 men and all of that, they were still wicked and going off. In a time where Israelites knew that they was Israelites, they killed Yahushua. Or they caused him to be killed. They betrayed him. They bared false witness on him and caused him to die. So all these African Americans, these Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans right now trying to say, oh, we ain't Israelites and all of this. Well, even when the Israelites knew that they were, they still did wickedness, man. They still did it. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. And all these 2/3 now that don't want to accept it, they've been blinded, man. That's why they can't accept it. But every time they open up their mouth to complain, right, you can see the curses in their complaints. This black consciousness community, they complain about money, they complain about the women, they complain about how we don't know who we are, they complain that we have to go to our enemy for the want of all things, they complain that they ain't got no businesses. All that stuff can be explained with the curses, but they don't want to say they're cursed because they think that that's a bad thing, right? They'll say we're destroyed. They'll say that there's not a black conscious community, there's a nigger community. They'll say all of that, right? But they don't want to accept that they're cursed, right? They won't want to say out their mouth, we're cursed. They'll say we're destroyed. They'll say we're destroyed. We ain't got no community. They'll say all of this, but they won't want to say we're cursed. Because if they say that, that's too close to them accepting that they're an Israelite. That's way too close. They'll say there ain't no brotherliness among the nation and all of this. Oh, it's not a black conscious community. It's a crabs in a barrel community. But they won't say it's cursed. They don't want to use that word. They wouldn't want to use that word, man. Let's see if they'll go out of their way to do a lesson on Deuteronomy 28. The Sarnet loves doing lessons on Deuteronomy 21 and Deuteronomy 22, right? Let's see him do a lesson on Deuteronomy 28. Read them curses and say, is this on our people? Are these curses on the black community? on the Latino community, but he only deals with the black thing. So could he read those curses and say, are these curses on the black community? And if he reads them and he sees that they are on the so-called black community more so than anyone else, what would he have to accept? Because he does videos and debates and everything else. Do a debate. Why never did a debate on that? Haggai chapter 1 and verse 3. Then the word of Yahweh came, then came the word of Yahweh by Haggai the prophet, saying, is it time for you, O ye, to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? So is it time for us to be just chilling in this world, living it off, man? Right? Is it time for us to be doing that? To be living like a rap video? No, it's not, man. And every single man wants to have a peaceful life, man. Right? They want to have a peaceful life. They want the world to be peaceful, so that there's no need for them to war. Right? Even Esau's demonic ass, all the war that he's doing is because he's trying to make a world of peace for himself. Right? But he ain't never going to find it, because the Israelites have always existed. And they're always a reminder that he ain't the best. No matter how low down we are, he knows our potential. He knows that Yahweh Shai exists. He sees things in the heavens with his big ass telescopes that are the sizes of buildings. And he sees that there's things up in the heavens that he doesn't have no control over. In fact, he sees these things in the heavens that he knows have control over him. And that's why he makes these experiments like CERN, right? That's why he does all of these things, because he's trying to get a deeper understanding of the world, because he knows that he is not the ultimate power in this world, man. Verse 4, or is it time for you, or ye to dwell in your sealed houses, and this house lie waste? No, it's not, man. So that's the reason why we don't have all these great, glorious things in this world, because we're cursed, man. Verse 5, now therefore, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, consider your ways. So all the money that Jakes do get, because they even said on that video that I was watching, they said that there's 1.79 million so-called black billionaires. So-called black millionaires in America, right? Which really is not even that large amount of money, to be honest with you. Because let's just say that all of them had 10 million each, right? Which we already know that some of them would just have 1 million. But let's just say all of them had 10 million each. That would be what? 1.79 billion? Which 1.79 billion is not really, when you compare it to the amount of money that some Edomites have, that's not really a large amount of money. When you consider that Jeff Bezos just by himself is worth, I think, 120 billion. So 1 billion for a whole nation of millions of people is not a lot of money. But 1.79 million millionaires should be able to, if they actually had any understanding of the world, should be able to do more with that money than what they've did, right? But this world don't view each other as a community. It views itself as individuals when it comes time to when they're winning. But then when they're losing, then they're like, oh, the black community. But they ain't no black community, man. We ain't black. We're Israelites, right? But yeah, and the Israelites are waiting for Yahweh to give us one universal moral code that we all live by, man, which is going to be given to us by the new covenant, right? Where God's going to implant his laws into our mind perfectly, man. But he's going to place them laws in our minds that we do those things that we're supposed to do to get everlasting life perfectly. Verse 8, go up to the mountain and bring wood and build the house, and I will take pleasure in it, and I will be glorified, saith Yahweh. Ye looked for much, and lo, it came to little. And when ye brought it home, I did blow upon it. Why, saith Yahweh of hosts, because of mine house that is waste, and ye run every man to his own house. And that's what happened back then, but now it's happening too in a spiritual sense as well, right? Well, and in a physical sense, because Jake will go out there and they'll have all this money, but then when they look at what they have, they'll realize they ain't got nothing, because Yahweh is blowing on it. And there's different ways that he can blow on it. He can blow on it with tax. He can blow on it with inflation. He can blow on it with bills. He can blow on it with you crashing your car and having to have all these different payments that drain your money out, man. Because all your money that you make as an individual doesn't get pushed back into your own community because they've got shops, stores in different industries that they own, right? It gets pumped back into another nation's industry and another nation's community, and they end up taking your wealth that you've made as an individual as a particular race, and they're using it to build up their own race. And as you're boasting on being a millionaire status and all of this, it don't matter because your nation's still losing. So you've won, but your nation's still lost. And in your nation losing, you've really lost because if you fall out of that millionaire status, you're done for. You ain't going to get back into that ever again. And that's why all of these millionaires that are normally athletes or rappers among our community, and some of them will be in business, but majority of them are not. But even the ones that are, there's no community that can keep that billionaire or that millionaire status continually flowing, and that money gets pumped back through their own nation so that the nation wins as a whole. And so that there's not just a high portion of millionaires and then a superiorly large portion of broke people. And then hardly even any people that meet the average meet a high average standard. The average standard among so-called black people is whack as hell, right? It's low. But then they'll look at a millionaire that plays basketball or something like that and be like, nah, we're doing good. No, we're not. We ain't doing good. Forget basketball. Forget sports, man. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean, it means something for that individual doing it, that he can get himself some money. But what normally happens after his career? He normally ends up getting into some scandal from some funky hoe, right? That's trying to spill out his pockets. That more than likely is probably somebody that works for some Edomite somewhere, that they've got some secret underground company that they set men up with, man. And I personally believe that they have that in all that Hollywood industry and all that sport famous world. I think they've got secret agencies where they get these women to jump at men and rob them from their pockets, man, by coming out with a scandal, man. And they've got all the lawyers set up that they're going to get some money from it. All of these people set up, man. And it's just a racket that they got going on in there to steal all this money from all you jakes that want to try and get famous, man. And that's why you always end up flopped. And that's all part of the curses that Yahweh's put on you. It's that you're cursed when you go in and cursed when you go out, just like the scriptures say. Let me get that and then I'll end the lesson, man. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. And that's why the end of all of these jakes that end up being famous is always jacked up. It's always messed up, man. Doesn't matter how much money they ate. Then Israelites don't die in peace. When was the last Israelite that you know of that died in peace? Or was it always too soon that they died from some health problem? When was the last Israelite that you saw that died of old age? Who was that? How long ago was the last Israelite that you heard of that died of old age? Because I ain't heard of any. I know that any people in my family that died, they didn't really die of no old age. It was because of a health problem, man. It was really because of a health problem that they died. I'm going to end the lesson there. You Israelites, you 2/3, man. You don't want to accept that you're cursed. But your own mouths confirm that you're cursed every time you complain about the position that you're in the world. And your own complaints confirm that you are in fact the Israelites because you don't know who you are. And when you say who you are, you always revert back to what you've been told you are by your enemy. Black. You're lost. But when you've heard the truth, you don't want to accept it because it seems like it's too high for you. Like you want to say you're the best people in the world, but then when you get told without a doubt that you are the best people and you get scriptural proof, you want to reject it because it's coming from the Bible. It's ridiculous. Shalom to the elected nation of Israel. All praises to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakah Kodash. Shalom.